football with its biggest win in this transfer portal cycle to date. The Hawkeyes adding a stud at linebacker, a proven stud. We'll get to the commitment from Virginia linebacker Nick Jackson in just a moment. But first, I want to remind you to check out our sponsors, Iowa Floor Covering and their Tough Core Click Together 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring. The boys down at IFC in Bondurant will treat you right. This special rate, $269 per foot with self-installation. Visit iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. And of course, Ascent Nutrition. How about their wild-crafted pine pollen? This stuff is great. It's a raw, living, wild-crafted superfood with over 200 bioactive nutrients. Check this stuff out. Get yourself a container of it. And of course, great products across the board for Ascent Nutrition and great new products that are changing the industry as we know it. Visit goascentnutrition.com and use that code on the screen, Hawkeyes, plural, Hawkeyes, for 15% off your total order, courtesy of Ascent Nutrition, our sponsor right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. So, the big news on this Wednesday, Virginia grad transfer linebacker Nick Jackson has committed to the Iowa Hawkeyes. He'll be going into an extra year, a year that he was afforded due to COVID. He has played a lot of football for Virginia. He's got 45 games played under his belt, 33 of which games that he started in, has 354 total tackles, 161 solo tackles, 193 assisted tackles, also 20 tackles for loss, 10.5 sacks, 8 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. If you want some context for this past year, 2022, how about these numbers? Led the ACC in tackles. By the way, second straight year in which he led the ACC. We're talking tackles per game, not total tackles, but tackles per game. 10.4 tackles per game. He was second team all ACC for the second straight year. Had 104 total tackles in 2022. 7 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 4 passes broken up. He's got 1 year of eligibility remaining. Let's keep this in mind, folks. This kid was wanted by the big programs out there. We're talking Auburn. We're talking LSU. We're talking Oklahoma. He turns them all down for the Iowa Hawkeyes. This guy is a stud. And I'm telling you this right now. This may surprise some of you. Nick Jackson is the best player Iowa has gotten in this transfer portal cycle yet. He's the best player. And I really don't know that it's very close. Now, if we're talking about need and the biggest ad, if you will, you could argue certainly it's Cade McNamara because of the need there. And certainly they made some moves there along that offensive line with Rusty Feth and Dejon Parker. But as far as just your best player, who's the best player you landed in this transfer portal cycle? It is Nick Jackson. By the way, I have a lot of respect for Seth Anderson, too. I think he's going to be really good. But Nick Jackson has high-level Power 5 experience. And, boy, again, look at that offer list. He attracted some really, really high major attention. He is a tremendous athlete. I would guess he comes here and plays middle linebacker. It will be interesting to see how quickly he picks up on the Iowa system. I look forward to talking with Coach Don Patterson. We're going to have him on a live show this Saturday, kind of comparing the Virginia defense to the Iowa defense. I haven't taken time to do that, and I'm just frankly not familiar with the Cavalier defense. Of course, Iowa plays the 4-3. My guess is we're going to see him at middle, but I know Iowa likes Jay Higgins as well. And keep in mind, they've got Kyler Fisher, the former walk-on, who's had some time at linebacker. He'll return. They're losing Jack Campbell, who will be drafted fairly high, I think, in the NFL draft in April. They're losing Seth Benson, who signed with an agent, so he'll be taken off for the NFL. And, of course, Justin Jacobs, who is the heir apparent behind Campbell, he went off into the transfer portal, went to Oregon. So opportunity knocked not only in the portal, but for some of these young guys, there are still opportunities. I mentioned Higgins, Fisher. I'm assuming Logan Klemp. Haven't heard anything official on him. I'm assuming he's gone, right? I'm assuming he is not using his 6th year. I think technically he would have 1 year if he wanted it. With COVID, I'm assuming he's gone. But Carson Shire is a young guy who Iowa really likes. Wears the same number Josie Jewell wore at Iowa, number 43. He'll have an opportunity. A couple Story County, Iowa guys, kind of our neck of the woods here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Zach Tweet, who's a Story City kid. And also Justice Sullivan, who's originally from the Ballard community. And then, of course, Landon Van Kekerix from last recruiting cycle. Jaden Montgomery. Jaden Harrell was a highly touted kid. They've got bodies, folks. They've got people. They've got numbers. But, boy, landing Nick Jackson, Huge testament to Phil Parker's defense and Seth Wallace's unit there at linebacker. And you pair Jackson with probably Higgins, and then we'll see out of that other group. I'm not convinced that it's Kyler Fisher's to lose. Of course, they will also at times run more cash. I would not be surprised if we just see a lot of cash. If they're healthy at cornerback in 2023, we'll see what they do at cash. I think they really like Sebastian Castro. I really like Sebastian Castro, but Cooper DeJean can play cash as well. Jamari Harris is back. TJ Hall is going to be better at corner. You expect guys like Brendan Diaz-Fernandez, Deshaun Lee to develop. So, I mean, we've said this so many times. Phil Parker's got this unit on lockdown, and this is a huge pickup. All right. I would have had confidence with Phil Parker given the bodies that he had, but to get this kind of production, this kind of experience, again, heck of an athlete. This is a huge, huge get. 6'1", 235. At least that's what he was listed on the Virginia website. I believe Iowa lists him at 234. We did get a press release. He has officially signed on as a grad transfer. So just huge news. And by all accounts, from what I read, he has also won some academic awards. So he's a good student, good kid in the classroom. And that's what you want. That's what Iowa wants. I think he fit culturally. It didn't sound like, from what I was told, it didn't sound like NIL was a big priority from Mr. Jackson. I wouldn't be surprised if he got some separate NIL money in addition to what all the scholarship players here get. But he'll have an opportunity in 1 year to make his mark, perhaps get on that Butkus Award watch list. He's already been on that watch list twice. He is also on the Bednarik watch list this past year. But following in maybe Jack Campbell's footsteps, quite an opportunity for a young guy who's got great, great potential and has already realized a lot of his potential. And we'll see if he can bring that to Iowa and, of course, bring it to the NFL in a little over a year. Appreciate you tuning in for this segment. Big news, folks, on this Wednesday. And if you're frustrated about the Brian Ferentz situation, we still got Phil Parker. That's the positive thing. We still got Seth Wallace, LeVar Woods, and these guys doing great things. And no surprise that the best player that Iowa has landed thus far in this transfer portal cycle plays on defense. Tell me what you think about Nick Jackson committing and signing. Where does Iowa's transfer portal cycle class stand in your eyes? And is there hope for the Iowa offense? We'll continue to talk about that. Again, live show with Don Patterson coming up this Saturday. Be sure to tune in. Hawkeye Hangout Live this Saturday. Season wrap-up show with the one and only Coach Don Patterson.